Thank goodness we have champions of justice like Frank to defend the community's honor. Here we have a courageous moment by Frank from one of his recent live streams, where he was once again showcasing his noble crusade to torment a man who dared to bruise his delicate ego. It begins with Frank reading a viewer's comment suggesting that Barry Jordan is a user of Shabu, the term used for methamphetamine in the Philippines.
Judge Stoker says he's getting fatter now since he can't get Shabu like before. Well, that's a bad statement on my show. Okay. And I'm not going to react to that regarding Shabu. I don't know that. You don't know that. So strike that one out.
Frank has always been known as a beacon of virtue, hasn't he? Despite his all-consuming hatred for Barry, who occupies every corner of his mind, Frank is steadfast in his commitment to honesty. No matter how much he loathes Barry, he would never ever dream of fabricating shameless lies or indulging in petty rumors simply in an attempt to drag Barry through the mud. Truly a man of enduring principles here.
Drinking? It's obvious to me. It's my opinion, and I'll stick to it. Shabu? Hey, man. I would never say that on my show, because I don't know. Would I say it on my show that that's what he's doing? Never. So watch what you say on my show, because you're talking about Shabu. That's a serious, very serious allegation. Don't say that on my show, because I'm not certainly saying it.
Did you hear that? Of course you did. Frank couldn't have been any more clear. Accusing someone of being a user of Shabu is, quote, very serious, and he would never ever make such a claim on his channel. Nope, not Frank.
Would I say it on my show that that's what he's doing? Never. I don't know that. You don't know that. I would never say that on my show.
Very noble of him, isn't it? But let's rewind to a time before Frank's behavior had more direct legal consequences than it does now, and see if his commitment to honesty was ever as rock solid as he's currently pretending it is.
Tom Kinsey says Larry, of Escaping the Philippines, ran with Obama for a short time. He stated that Obama was definitely a chronic Shabu user. I remember that. Barry is a Shabu user. Sure, he's on that shit. I told you, man.
I'm not going to give out false information. That only gets you in trouble when you lie. I know, you want to make somebody look bad, so you lie.
I think he's been into meth most of his life. And I think the combination of Coca-Cola and methamphetamines such as Shabu did that, because methamphetamines will rot your teeth. But I believe that he's been into drugs for a long time, well prior to him moving to the Philippines. And Shabu out here, I understand, is very cheap to acquire. And he does qualify for methamphetamines from what I've seen with him. He's on meth. Yeah.
Regarding Shabu, would I say it on my show that that's what he's doing? Never. I would never say that on my show. I'm not going to give out false information. That only gets you in trouble when you lie.
And then, of course, the one with Barry, and he was on Shabu at the time, as you heard. Come on, motherfucker, come on.
I would never say that on my show. I'm not going to give out false information. That only gets you in trouble when you lie.
And he could possibly make a couple $100 on Patreon donations and PayPal, things like that. He doesn't make a lot of money, but he uses it for cigarettes and booze and for crack. Actually, Shabu. He's a Shabu addict, and he uses alcohol, Shabu, and 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
I would never say that on my show. That only gets you in trouble when you lie.
So it seems Frank's principles aren't quite as ironclad as he pretends. Let's get real. Frank doesn't have any fucking principles. None whatsoever. His so-called values are purely driven by convenience, shifting with whatever suits him in the moment. Remember when Frank was neutral toward Ricky? He couldn't get enough of the Fazio slap, cheering Ricky on like a giddy schoolgirl for not going hard enough. But the moment Ricky annoyed him, probably over some petty, trivial nonsense, Frank's tune changed in a flash. Suddenly, Frank was clutching his pearls and reaching for the fainting couch. He was like, how dare he do that? That was so wrong. For Frank, it's all situational. His so-called principles shift with his pathological mood swings and grudges. It's never about the truth for Frank. Never. It's all about what works for him in the immediate moment. And when it comes to Barry, Frank isn't concerned with honesty. Not that Frank is ever concerned with honesty to begin with, but in this specific situation acting as if he would never make up lies about Barry when he's done it thousands upon thousands of times in the past. He's just trying to cover his ass in his silly, frivolous legal nonsense that he's been wasting the final years of his life on. This isn't about integrity. It's about self-preservation. Frank has never had core principles, and he never will. I'm not sure if Frank believes he has anyone fooled here. His ongoing narrative has been that he's been accused of untruthful things, that Barry is a relentless bully who simply won't leave him alone and Frank is merely the victim, when in fact, Frank has spent countless hours upon hours, going on for years, spending sometimes upwards of literally 10 to 15 videos per day, spending every waking moment obsessively repeating lie after lie about Barry. And yes, even going as far as accusing Barry of having sex with children on numerous occasions. You know, the very thing that Frank says you never ever say about someone. Even going as far as accusing Barry of molesting his own son.
And his kid wants nothing to do with him, and understandably, after beating up his mother, and possibly even trying to get sexually involved with his own child. Now, I don't know this as a fact, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I don't know this as a fact, but I'll say it anyway because it's part of my ongoing smear campaign. There are examples like this too numerous to count. Just because Frank hides the evidence doesn't mean it never happened. He rewrites his own history whenever it suits him, hoping no one will notice. But no matter how much he tries to bury his past, the truth about him will never change. He's a habitual liar with no principles, just an unaccomplished shell of a human, with a desperate need to constantly change his own view of reality to suit his emotional needs in the current moment. No wonder this guy is a constant emotional head case.
You're talking about Shabu. That's a serious, very serious allegation. Don't say that on my show. I would never say that on my show.